blastmusic247.com. We're changing the industry one artist at a time.
Welcome everyone to the Say Less podcast with Comeiko. Hope your day was well or going well thus far on this Tuesday. Today we have a very special, awesome, magnificent, brilliant guest joining us, and that's Miss Myra with Intuitive Reading. And we are just gonna let the floor guide us, okay, in this conversation today in regards to life and personal growth and whatever the spirit tells us to talk about, that's what we're going to talk about. So once again, thanks for joining the show. And as always, I start you out with a positive quote that you can take throughout the rest of the week. Today it is, optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. Nothing can be done without hope and confidence. Have to be optimistic. And you have to have hope and confidence in yourself. Something I struggled with for a long time, but I'm getting it. But you have to have hope and confidence and be optimistic to reach achievement. And that is the quote for the day, guys. Hope you take that to heart. And my beverage of the evening. So first off, did I do a live last week? I did not. I did a throwback. Okay, so yes, I didn't do a live, but I'm back. And it's been a very weird day for me. I drank that Rise mushroom cocoa last night and some weird stuff. It's melatonin, but it's just, I don't know. It just, you have dreams and I don't know. But anyway, I got some sleep and then a little extra sleep this morning. But my beverage for this evening that I kind of sort of needed is the Menage a Trois Sweet Collection Dolce. I really don't drink this kind of wine. I drink wines like for steaks and red wines, but this was like there because mine wasn't. So it's sweet red blend. It's actually not that bad. It's not that bad, but that's my beverage for the evening. And yeah, we're just going to get into it. So first I'm going to allow Miss Myra to introduce herself and who she is and what she does.
Okay, well, my name is Myra. I'm from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I am an intuitive reader. I prefer that title because I don't like to say psychic or anything like that because I don't feel like that's what I am. And I know that's kind of contradictory, but I don't, because everything that comes to me, everything that I share with my clients, with other people, it comes from a higher source. And it just comes through me. So I don't feel like that I can take that role or responsibility of psychic, so to speak. I've been doing the work that I do because I'm also a spiritual life coach since business-wise since 2017. And I really, really enjoy just helping people find things within themselves that was dormant or quiet or that they didn't realize that they had. I'm all about empowering you. I'm all about making sure that you find the grace to give yourself, because a lot of us struggle to give grace to ourselves, but we freely give it away to everybody else. So I'm all about finding the best parts of you that you may have forgotten about. And I do a little reading and pulling cards on the side.
That's my next appointment. I'm going to book for that one. But that was an amazing explanation. I have a hard time. I guess I have a hard time trying to explain to others when I mention, my readings and sessions. I have a hard time because I'm probably still truly learning the depths of it.
Mm-hmm.
That was amazing, because the first thing people just automatically think is that's a psychic, that's Miss Cleo. And no,
Mm-hmm.
it's not. It's not. I always say, and correct me if I'm wrong, I
Okay.
always say that God blesses every one of us with gifts.
Definitely. Definitely.
And
And it's
your gift,
just
your
if we
gift,
lean into it.
yes,
Yeah, you just have to lean into it. I agree with you 100%, honey. I believe that we all are gifted in some kind of way. I just think that for some of us, we're more in tuned into it. For a lot of us, you do things and feel things every day, but you don't really know what it is or why you do it. And then, depending on how you were raised, you might feel like, okay, it's something different or something a little special that I have. But you've been raised in church, and in church, the two don't seem to supposed to
correct,
go together.
correct.
So it makes you a lot less open to accepting some of the things that you feel.
Yeah,
And it was like that for me for a long time. But then I had a health scare. And after I made it through that, I was fine and I was cancer free. It was as if God just ripped the band aid off. And I was just like, I was ready, because after you go through a major life event, sometimes that's what it takes for you not to give a damn.
yeah,
And
abs-
that's what happened. I didn't
absolutely.
care about anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I say that I had mentioned that yesterday or the day before in a live, that you have to tap into it if that's what you want when you feel it, right?
Hmm.
And I know that that's something that, a lot of the little bit that I do know is from my sister, she's an empath. Um,
Hmm.
and she's in it to the point where she can't be around people too long because she got to go hide somewhere. She
Yeah.
got to cleanse, but she said that eventually when you start to recognize energies, you tap into it, it's an automatic, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then so I was mentioning that about maybe a year ago or 2 years ago, I started to feel that, but it's scary. You know what I mean? When I try to
Yeah.
tap into it and try to feel, because it's really scary when it's coming from people that you're like, whoa, this shouldn't be coming from you,
Yeah.
but it is.
Yeah.
So it's scary and you run from it, but I guess I guess it's really important because it's a protection,
It's a
right?
protection. And also, not only that, but it's a part of you. If you stop and you think, and like we know about your sister, but if you guys think about like down the line, grandparents, grandmothers, whatever the case may be, you'll notice little things that they did in their everyday life that kind of gave you kind of like a little nod, like I got something else. Like I go to church and everything, but I got a little something else that helps, the money come in, or that helps to clear the energy of the house, or that helps me to mix up this tonic or this tincture to help somebody feel better. Because I know a lot of people used to come to my grandmother sometimes and she would mix up little brandy and something else, for coughs and different things. And so it's all like breadcrumbs,
Yeah,
if you look back at your history, it's breadcrumbs. And it's really up to us to be open to it and accept it and not worry about what other people have to say, because a lot of times that's what keeps us stuck. Us
yes,
worrying about what somebody else is going to say. Oh, you're crazy. Oh, you worship the devil. Oh, you're going to hell. You know, all of that
absolutely.
stuff. So
I
we
totally
have to get out of our own way.
Yes, I totally agree. I tell people all the time that I've always kind of had it, but it's turning 50. Oh, I really got that unbothered
Yep.
attitude.
Yep.
Say what you like attitude. You
Yep.
can believe what you like attitude, as long as whatever it is within me. I know I'm not hindering myself from progression. And then you can think whatever you want to think. I know I did mention to you in my session with you 3 weeks ago, how a lot of people think it's witchcraft,
Mm-hmm.
including my husband and my daughter. They tease me when I bless the house on the first of the month with the cinnamon and the sea salt, and I burn
Mm-hmm.
my white candles. At least I try to do it every 2 months or so and write my affirmations on them. And I did what you said about clearing the energy in the home and I burnt my white
Mhm.
candle with a glass of water. Like, and it just
Mhm.
so funny because there's my daughter's like, here she goes with that witchcraft again. And I'm like, girl, do you know I am carrying y'all?
That
You
part.
better thank God for me.
And that's what I was going to say. It's witchcraft until you got that bill or something, or that whatever you want, a need, the household needs that repair, whatever, and you go and you pray and you do what you need to do, and then the money's there. But then it's not witchcraft. It's witchcraft until it's something that helps out another person, and then you think about it. We pray to God and ask God for help. We lay our problems and our burdens down on the altar, and we trust Him, a supernatural spirit, to come and help and answer our prayers and heal us when we're sick and all of that stuff. So it's all a big melting pot of everything.
Yes.
Just like all different races, all different shades of blacks and browns and and even whites. I mean, it's just a melting pot of things. It's spirituality extended, and I think a lot of times too, people think because you have the beliefs and you use the sage or whatever to clear the energy, that we don't believe in God. That's another thing that really, really used to bother me, because people didn't think that I believed in God. And I'm like, well, who said that I don't believe in God? Like, where do you think this comes from? Nobody said that I don't believe in God. So that's it's a lot of misconceptions about it. A lot of misconceptions about it.
It is. And it's so funny because I say all the time how God blesses us. He made us all individually and uniquely, and He blesses all of us with gifts, and He provides those. But if He's the creator of all things.
Mm-hmm.
And even if that means that, when I mention the universe, and I have my crystals, and
Mm-hmm.
someone say, oh, well, who created the universe?
Where did it come from?
God, right?
Exactly.
So when I speak on the universe, and the universe has my back, and I don't have to worry about anything because they got me. But my ancestors, it's so funny. I love my auntie to death, but she don't believe. She don't believe. She said, leave them deads alone. She don't believe. But at the end of the day, your ancestors were once here.
Mm-hmm.
It's your ancestors, right?
And they're the reason why we are. If they didn't come before us, we wouldn't be here.
Correct.
So I don't think that there's anything wrong with us honoring them. I don't think that there's anything wrong with tapping into their strength to help us through, especially during these times now where, race issues and problems are running rampant, and it gives us, in some instances, kind of a snippet of what some of our ancestors had to deal with, because now people are just freely saying whatever they want to say to people of color, and just whatever. And I think that it's important for you to acknowledge it, because we wouldn't be if it wasn't for our ancestors. Just like when you hold a service, a funeral service or whatever, we're honoring them. Repasts and stuff, we're honoring them, we're honoring their memory. What's the difference? It's just that after the services and everything is gone, I still continue to honor mine. Once we leave the cemetery, that's not it for me. I still continue to honor mine and light candles and celebrate them and celebrate their birthdays, and thank you for the wisdom and the strength that I still get, in dreams or whatever the case may be. So
Correct.
I just think, again, it's just people not wanting to be open, and it's okay. I never try to convince anybody of anything. I want you to believe what you believe. I have convinced a lot of people to open their minds a little bit more after a session with me, because I was like, how you know that? Don't nobody know that. How you know that's what I prayed for last night? Well, where do you think I'm getting the information from? I can't Google that. I can't Google, I can't go on Facebook and see that, so it's just a matter of being open-minded. Yeah. And that's what I charge everybody to do. You don't have to believe in what I do. You don't have to want to have a reading or anything. like that, but just be open-minded for yourself. There's nothing wrong with you going to church and believing everything that you believe about church and following that, but just be open-minded to other things because there's so much more out there. Just be
Yeah.
open-minded to it.
Yeah. And like I say, and I mentioned to you in our reading, and I'll mention to everyone else my experience with my very first reading. It was a friend of my sister's in New Jersey. She's amazing, but she was pretty hard. She was real about her work because she asked me for 3 questions, and if I tried to go into detail on any of them, she went off and said, disrespecting her reading. Okay, she just wanted the questions, and that was it. But to this day, when I look back, that was just about 5 years ago, and I was nervous. It was my first reading. I'm like, oh my God. My sister kept telling me, relax. It's nothing crazy. You thinking that she's gonna say, oh, on March 28th you're gonna die, and it's nothing like that. It's just tapping into your energy to feel what's going on around you. So I did it, and it was a very pleasant experience. And from then till today, I can honestly say that 99.9% of the things that she said has come into fruition. I just held on, there's a few things that's quirky, but for the most part, everything, it was before we even got our house. I didn't know if we was going to get approved, or I didn't know anything. And she just confirmed that what she saw and what she felt. And it's crazy because it was all true, but to receive it on my end, on your end, getting the reading, it's just confirmation, and it's comforting. Then so my reading with you, that was very informational. It was very pleasant. It was also very take accountability. Because some parts of that reading, honey, I was like, Miss Myra, get out my business. You know what I mean? I was like, whoa, how she know this? Like, how do you know? And, things about me, that I probably try to bypass a lot. Sometimes we don't want to take accountability for our actions or, our demeanor, or we ignore it rather. But, sometimes you're not going to hear what you want to hear. But that's important because that's called growth, right?
And it's a part of your story.
Yeah.
It's a part of your story. And the one thing that I always do before each client is I always pray and I ask God to give me what it is that they need. Not always what I'm picking up on, because it could start off one way, like, girl, is my husband cheating, or is my partner cheating, or whatever, and then end up talking about some childhood trauma that's blocking up your finances or something. You know what I mean? So it really, really is just whatever it is that you're meant to receive. That's what I give to you. And a lot of people always say, especially the ones where I'm the first person that they have a reading with, and they say, oh my gosh, I felt like I was in therapy. Well, that's because I don't sit here and say, okay, you got bad energy in your house. Your money's jacked up. You need to leave that man you're with or that woman you're with, whatever. I don't do that. I will tell you if that comes up, but I also tell you, this is what you need to do to try to make things better. Have the conversation that you've been afraid to have. I'm not just one of those people that just say, boom, that's it. Thank you. See you when I see you. But right. I also want to give you the tools that you need. Okay, honey, this is what you need to do to get that energy situated in your household. This is what you need to do to feel better about the trauma that came up, because you're still holding on to it, even though you think you're not. This is what you need to do for this. I'm a firm believer in being a full circle reader, if that makes sense, because I don't believe in you coming to me and I tell you this up to this point, and your 30 minutes are over, so bye. And then you're like, well, how do I do? Well, what do I do?
Yes.
Okay, then, some readers might be like, well, you need to book another session. It's not like that for me. And while I have to make a living, I'm not all about money, you know? And I think that that's the important thing too, when you're choosing who you want to read you and get all in your energy. You got to know that they're doing it for the right reasons and not just to make more money or to bring you in, to keep bringing you back over and over and over again. When in the first session, they could have said, this is what it is, this is what you need to do, and go from there. So you have to really, really use your discernment when it comes time to choosing somebody that you want to kind of tap into you like that.
That is so very true. And like I say, my session with you was very pleasant. It was not rushed. I was rushing because I kept looking because you know, at the end of the day, it's 1,000 questions that we can ask you. You know what I mean? And it really, really is. But I know for me, you know, just like my session, my follow-up session, I'm going to schedule with you. I want the tarot card reading session. I just want what comes that pops out to you.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like whatever pops out to you when you're reading me, that's what I need. That's what I need.
And that's exactly how I feel. And it's so funny because normally I connect very quickly with clients that I've already worked with because I've been in their energy, so it's easy for me. So when I have a new client and I'm getting these downloads and all of these things, you know, I say, wait a minute, before we get started, you remember how I was like, wait a minute, I got to tell you this, and this first, you know. And it was really, really strange because I was like, well, gosh, I'm connecting to her. Like, you know, we've connected before, like I've done a reading for her before, but definitely I think that is the best way, and just for you to be open to receive, you know, because sometimes people are so focused on what it is that they want to know about that they think that the other stuff is not important, because that's not the reason why I booked my appointment. I want to know this. Well, yeah, you want to know this, but if you look at the bigger picture, it's all connected. It's all connected, and every little bit that you receive is part of the bigger picture that you were making your appointment for. So, you know, you have to be open. And I don't understand how people are willing to be open to these prophets and prophetess in church who tells them all this stuff, charges all of this money, and a lot of times it's just a blanket statement. Heck, we all need more money to pay bills. We all might be looking for a bigger home. We all might be, if we're single, looking for a relationship, a love, or whatever, or a new job. You know what I mean? But they're not giving you like any details. So what makes me any different than that person?
Correct.
Why is it that you choose to believe them over somebody like me? What's the difference? And I'm not charging you an arm and a leg.
Yeah. Well, I say that the difference is that you're actually connected to that individual, and not just the whole.
And not the
it could be a prophet up there, you know, talking to the whole congregation as one. No, for my persons, like I need whatever it is directed to me. So church. Me and my sister have had many conversations about the Bible. She believes in the Bible. She definitely believes in God. But some of the things in the Bible, she's just like, because the Bible is very, very, what's the word? Aggressive and violent. Very. But you know, she believes in God. She believes in some of the Bible. Like I tried to, you know, when my mom was killed, like we didn't go to church, right? Only on like Easter, Christmas, Mother's Day, you know, the basics. But when she was killed, I didn't have anything to latch on to. And so I latched on to church. And church was my world. It was my everything. You know, my ministry is music, the choir. I was a choir president. I tapped into it. You couldn't pull me from church. Even when I was still in the club, I go to church the next day. I was in that choir stand singing them songs. And so, like, people would always say, girl, take that trip. The church gonna be here when you get back. Or, you know, people would make the comment, you know, if you die tomorrow, the church still gonna go on. And so I'm like, yeah, that's true, but I'm doing it filled a void. It filled a void. And so
And it was what you needed at that time.
it was what I needed at that time. And so when I got here, like I was really connected with my church in San Diego. Like I had keys to the church, everything. When I got here, of course, Texas is full of those mega churches.
Yeah.
And I joined IBOC, Inspirational Body of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And I, of course, want to jump right in and get busy, right? So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
and I was denied because I had to be a member for 6 months. Now, that hurt me to the core. You understand? I'm coming from a church, an intimate church, like you get in and jump in.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of deterred me because I'm like, this is a ministry. I'm trying to get in and tap in and get going because I know where I came from and what I did. But then in a way, I kind of understood it because as a mega church, you want to make sure that someone is committed, right? Still don't agree, but whatever. So I always told people, and ever since then, I haven't found a church home other than just recently, the pastor that married us and did our vow renewal, we joined his church, which is a, in a way, motorcycle-based movement. You know, it's more, it's Bible teaching, but it's more of a encouragement. But I always tell people, that man standing up there in that pulpit is just another man.
Yeah.
It's another man, and we will hope that most of the time God is using him to send messages through, because it ain't all of them that he sends something through.
That part. And I think too, you know, you saying that and about the motorcycle movement and stuff, I think almost in a way, Miko, that's better, because my thing is, I don't want to follow somebody that's in the pulpit that's perfect. You know, everything is perfect. The hair is always perfect. Everything, the family's perfect. They got 2.5 kids. Just everything is perfect.
Yeah.
I want to follow somebody that says, look, this ain't always been me. I was out there in the club. I was drinking. I was smoking. I was doing all whatever, you know, but look where I am now.
Yes.
That's the kind of person I want teaching me. Somebody that's teaching you real life stuff.
Yes.
Not just all about money and big cars and big houses and all that stuff. All of that stuff is good. But tell me about the time when you was broke and almost homeless and didn't know what you was going to do to make money for your rent. And, you know, and show me the story of how you got to where you are and how the Bible helped you in that way, and finding God, you know, spirituality or whatever it is, got you on that path of healing in that way. How did you heal from that trauma of being abused? How did you heal from the trauma of being with a single parent? Whatever you know, I need to know that. I don't need to see you get out the big car every Sunday and get up there and speak all these wonderful, marvelous, big words that's still going over everybody else's head. I need you to dumb it down to me and make me understand, so that you can feel wanted, because that's a big part of the reason why a lot of people don't attend church now, because they feel like it's hypocrites, you know, because these people on Sundays dressed up to the nines and go to church or whatever, then cussing you out on Monday.
Hey, Carla, we saw you, girl. Carla didn't join.
Hey, Carla.
And that's so funny. She just chimed in and you said what you said, because I'm trying to remember what she said. What did she say? She said something about the meanest people come from church. What did you say, Carla? The meanest people come from church and the sweetest people don't go to church. Or I can't remember what it was, but it was so true. It was so true. And nobody is perfect. And I've never put pastors and ministers on any type of pedestal. Ever. Yeah. I've never done that. When you know the word for yourself, you know who's real and who's not.
That part.
See what I'm saying? So you can stand up there all day long and talk, but if I know that ain't what it is, then you see what I'm saying? So my Pastor Flo is amazing because he is from the streets and he tell you all along. And that Bible is what got him through life, and just the most humblest person ever. And just laid back, you know. I went to church this past Sunday in an Adidas outfit. You know, it's just to come as you are and just, you know what I mean?
And
just
truly mean it. To truly mean come as you are.
Yeah.
not just
Okay.
on dress down Sundays. And I mean, be respectful, but if Adidas suit was all that you had, that's okay. And
Mhm.
ain't nobody gonna be looking at you like, what's she come up here in church dressed like that for? Because it's still so much of that.
Yeah.
And in order for us to get our young folk who are in such need of leadership and guidance, you're going to have to change the game up. You're going to have to start doing things differently to pull them in so that we can keep them covered, because, they're killing each other left and right. And they don't want to hear none of that big word, talking out the side of your neck kind of stuff. They want to hear what's real, and somebody that can say, like you said, I was in the streets. I had a cousin that went to jail, and he was doing fed time. And during that time, he said, that's when I knew that I wanted this to be my ministry. He said, because can't nobody tell you better than somebody that was out here that was slinging just like you coming in for. He said, man, I could tell them everything and then some. He said, I know the game.
Yes.
And I think it's just so important for us to allow people like that to be leaders. But sometimes we don't think that they're good enough to, because of their experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, VP just said we at our midpoint. I did have something to I was getting ready to share, and I didn't realize we already 30 minutes into it. So hit it, VP. We ready. We can't hear you.
It would help if I unmute. Okay. My bad. Great topic. Today I have one of our blast artists. She's amazing. Her name is Demi Day, and this song is called Be Like You. I like this song. Check it out.
Yeah.
Everybody can't reach like, everybody can't dream like, everybody can't be like, everybody can't be like you, everybody can't reach like, and everybody can't dream like, everybody can't be like, everybody can't be like you. I understand you got your own thing going. Merely on down the stream, you better keep on rowing. They try to knock your self-esteem, you better keep on glowing. Don't let nobody in between that future you be knowing. So here's my message to you. Ain't no person on earth that can outdo you. Be yourself unto yourself. You'll be honored that you knew you. Only you can be your rock when it ain't no one else around. And if you don't love yourself, then the only way is down. But I believe in you. I see you got some dreams in you. Full speed ahead, I see you got some steam in you. Just keep chugging away. Be grateful for every day that you get to bless the world with such a beautiful face. Let your shadow make the chase. Let your heart dictate the pace. Let your mind give you the strength, and let your spirit run the race. I bet your ancestors cheering, seeing the path you clearing. Nothing worth fearing, every lesson worth hearing. But every now and again they try to break you. Lean into them wounds even though they might be painful. And when they heal the scars, that's when you gon' see a breakthrough. I'm praying that you make do with every resource within your grasp. Multiply it forth and be generous with your math. Kindness in your hand, willing to understand that every single second you get is another dance. And every single moment you breathe is another chance to do something you love, to always rise above. Parting for the past, don't let that trauma beat you up. Be gentle with your mental and everything you done been through. End of the day, you're the reason I grabbed a pencil, so I could draw you up a motivational stencil. Tracing the inspiration, make way for the destination. 'Cause trust me, I can see all of the places that you're headed. And I'm here to let you know you ain't gonna never reach a dead end. Everybody can't reach like, everybody can't dream like, everybody can't be like, everybody can't be like you, everybody can't reach like, and everybody can't dream like, everybody can't be like, everybody can't be like you.
And that is our girl Demi Day with Be Like You. And if you are an independent artist or a spoken word poet or up and coming comedian looking for some exposure, you can go to blastmusic247.com and register for free. But Blast is also looking for the fans. So if you're a fan of great music, you too can go to blastmusic247.com, Register as an unlimited fan and have access to hundreds of independent music. Blast. We're constantly giving indie polls. I totally, woo, brain just said, forget about it. Basically, check out the website, and there's beautiful artists all around the globe right there at blastmusic247.com. All right, ladies, back to y'all.
Thanks, baby. Let me tell you about that macaroni and cheese. Now, did you see that macaroni and cheese?
Yes.
Ooh. Whoever cooked that, I know that was good.
That was a good song.
I love that song.
Mm-hmm.
So inspirational, so uplifting.
Mm-hmm. And just the message, there's nobody like you, you know? And I think that we all need that reminder sometimes that there's nobody like you, even in them times when you feel like you don't have nothing to offer. You're like, well, what do I have to offer? I don't have no job. I don't have this. I don't have that. There's nobody like you. So we all bring something to the table.
Yeah.
And that's just a beautiful message. And I feel like somebody needed to be reminded of that. Yeah. There's nobody like you. Absolutely. It don't matter what anybody else has to say.
Yeah.
There's nobody like you.
I tapped into that a little bit. One of the things that we're doing in Ninja Selling at my brokerage is, we're challenged to write 25 affirmations a day for 30 days. And, you write that 25 a day, you as you write and rewrite and rewrite and read and read, start to believe, because we do slip. We're human. There's days that I wake up and I'm like not necessarily a nobody, but I wake up feeling real defeated. Yeah. Real defeated. You have to remind yourself. It's not easy. But you got to find that strength from somewhere to say, I am somebody.
Exactly. And I know everybody always asks me, like my clients and stuff, you're always so happy. You're always so cheerful. How do you do it? And I'm thinking, girl, you don't know how I was struggling before I got on this Zoom call. No, I'm not. But I feel what I need to feel. And I tell everybody to feel what you need to feel, but I don't sit in. Yeah. We all deserve to have those days where we feel defeated or, whatever the case may be. Feel it. You need to feel it. Otherwise, the universe is going to keep bringing it back to you. So you need to feel it, recognize it, name it, whatever you need to do. But just don't stay there. I might feel defeated in this moment, but I'm always looking forward to the future because I know my next big thing is on its way. So I don't allow myself to stay there. And that's what I do.
Yeah,
because we all have those days. We
do. And so that brings me to what I was going to mention before the song of the day. And I've already kind of figured it out, right? So, a lot of people, including my longtime friend of 20 something years, have always said that, like, you need to be a motivational speaker because she knows my story. Right. And so she was there on some of the roughest times and the things that I've been through, living in my car, living out my trunk, like after I lost my mom, so she knows some of that. And it's so funny because, I'm only 50, but a lot of people feel like I'm an old soul. And I've just been through so much that I don't know everything and I'm not perfect, but I know what I've been through. So the crazy thing about it is, I've thought about maybe, I'm not exactly sure how I would get into it to become a motivational speaker for women who've been through things that I have been through. But people around me over the course of the years, I see them going through some of the things that I went through and how to get through it, including my longtime friend, It's a big person that don't make excuses. And so where I find it funny is that I try to encourage and uplift. Even though my mom was a single mom and she raised all of us on her own, she hustled, she did what she had to do. And I was kind of raised on a different side of the track, a little tough. I'm a tougher type of woman. You know what I mean? I kind of, some people feel like I'm rough around the edges, and then you have the people that are a little bit more gentle. And so a lot of times certain people that I would try to talk to and inspire, they would think that I'm trying to push or basically trying to make them like me, strong when they're not. And then that's not what I'm trying to do at all. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like people took it as if I'm trying to push me on them and for them to be like me. And that's not the point. Is that I am here still. And this is how and why I'm still here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because basically what you're saying is, if I can share my story to keep you from going down the path that I went down, I don't have a problem doing that. You know, we grew up in a culture of what happens here stays here. What happens in this house stays in the house. And my mom used to tell me sometimes, you talk too much. Like, you talk too much. But I was like, I'm not ashamed of anything that I've been through. I'm not ashamed of nothing, because that's made me the person that I am now. So especially for our young women, if I see them doing something, dating somebody that similar to the kind I used to like, I used to like them rough around the edges, girl, I can give them the foresight and say, now, look, baby, I understand you're going to do what you want to do. However, here's a different perspective. Even if you don't utilize it right there in that moment, you got it in your pocket where you can access it.
Yes.
And one thing that I had to stop when you were talking about being a motivational speaker, Spirit said to me, get out of your own way. So that's what I'm telling you. You get out of your own way. I don't know why you feel like that you can't do it. There's not going to be a perfect time for you to start doing it. You just need to start doing it. I had a client that kept telling me, I want you to be my mentor. I want you to be my mentor. I'm thinking, be your mentor, honey. I can barely mentor myself. What are you talking about? But she kept saying, and somebody else said it. I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and get my life coach certification.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And that was my way, So it may not show up in the way that you're expecting it to, but just do it. Get out of your own way, because you're the only thing that's blocking it, Miko. You are the only thing that's blocking it. Do it.
Yeah. Do it. Carla.
That's right. Do it.
I know. And those are things that I know. And you kind of touched on me being in my way in a lot of things in my reading. And it's very true. And that's where even with my quote for today comes from. Be optimistic.
Yes.
Confidence. And I think that a lot of times in certain things I lack confidence because, I'm a very transparent person. My life is an open book. I'm not ashamed of anything that I done, been through at all. I'll tell my story in a heartbeat, because what you gonna do about it?
Exactly. That part.
So, but sometimes you just feel like you're not equipped but it's so funny because it really is true. As you get older and you grow, some things that you thought were imaginable or you couldn't do, I'm at a place in my life where I can do anything,
anything.
Either you gonna like it or you're not, because at the end of the day, what you gonna do about it? And so, a lot of times it makes me, I looked at it. So the feeling or the spirit that I got from these individuals who would say, I'm not you, and you're trying to make me you, and this, and that. I looked at it as if you didn't want help and you did not want to grow. And you stay stuck in a place.
They weren't ready. Yep. They weren't ready to receive it.
Yep.
And that's okay. As long as you're obedient and do what's in your heart and what your heart tells you to do, sometimes we got to be okay with it. Because it used to be, I would want to say, if I tell you, you need to apply for another job or whatever, and you're still complaining about, oh, this job make me sick, oh, I hate going to work, and I would make it my job to be like, no, apply for this job, I'm sending you information or whatever. But if you're not ready to do it, you're not ready to do it. So you drop the seed that you need to drop, and when they're ready to pick it up and start nourishing it and watering it and doing what they need to do, they will. But you've done your part.
Yeah.
You were obedient. You did what you were supposed to do. And we can't take it personal when they're not ready, because everybody's in a different place and in a different space in their journey. So I had to learn that, not to be offended. If Spirit says, tell Miko, like Spirit was like, stop, get out your way. how you receive it is how you receive it. But it's all for me now. I did what I was supposed to do. And so it's the same thing with those people. They just weren't ready. You was hitting too close. Look, that meat was a little bit too tender, and they just wasn't ready to receive it.
Yeah. And, it did hurt, because especially when you care about somebody.
Yeah.
And you feel like you can help them kind of skip some of the things that that if they continue down that route, that to skip some of the stuff that I've been through. So I just I say again, I'm prime example. There's been times in my life people's told me stuff and I'm like, well, yeah, you're right, but that's you, that's not me. And all along it was me not wanting to take accountability.
Yeah.
Because I just wasn't ready. So that's good. That's a good way to, and then I try not to allow it to deter me from whenever I feel that, to give somebody a message.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just be like, you know what, forget it. I care too much. I'm tired. Like I care too much, and then they take it for granted, or they don't. Mm-hmm. So I'm not gonna say nothing at all. Which everybody know, for me, Comeiko, Gemini, is very hard to be quiet. Struggle.
Yeah.
So I always got something to say.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes I'm just like, well, you know what? They didn't receive it the last time, so I'm just gonna be quiet and let them be them and do them.
But see, also too, what you're gonna find is sometimes when I try to do that, Spirit keep tapping on my shoulder. Like, this is what I told you to do. This is what I told you to do. And that's the reason why I said, just be obedient and the rest will work its way out. Because you get tired of that. I told you to do this. Why haven't you done this? Why haven't you done that? That little voice that's like, and even if they don't want to receive it. And it's been times where I wake up out of my sleep and I'm sending like a text message. And I'm like, I know it's 3:00 in the morning. No, there's nothing wrong. However, ... This was on my heart and it had to tell you that. And now my friends understand it. But before that's like, girl, that could have waited till in the morning or whatever. But when it's on me heavy, I gotta let you know what it is that I'm receiving. Yes. And what you do with it is what you do with it. So always be true to yourself, no matter what that looks like to somebody else, and know that you're doing your due diligence, because we have to look at it. We never know what us not speaking up, what that's jamming up energy wise, what blessing that could be blocking, because it's all connected. Yeah. So that's why it's so important for you to walk in your truth. That's why it's so important for you to say, okay, I want to be a motivational speaker. What does that look like for me? It might not look like Joyce Myers or some of these other, whoever, these motivational speakers or whatever. It might not look like that. It might look like 3 girls on the road, Carla doing comedy, me doing the life coaching portion of it, and you doing, the motivational. You don't know what it looks like. But I see us all on the road together doing some kind of movement,
Mm-hmm.
But you just got to walk into it and trust and believe it.
And it feels, and then so how I know that how I know that it's important is because it feels good.
Mm-hmm. And it feels right.
It feels so good to help people. You know what I mean? It kind of gives me that feeling of like, being in a choir, in the praise team.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, like I tell people all the time, music is my world. It is my absolute world. It's my ministry. It's my everything. And that feeling that I would get when we would be ushering in the Spirit, getting them prepared for the word, and to watch people just prepare themselves and be moved by the music and the instruments and the singing, that is the most fulfilling feeling ever.
It's nothing like it.
It's nothing like it. And so that's why my passion was the choir, because it's like you're up there, you're ministering to the congregation, but you're ministering to yourself too. Mm-hmm. But then at the end of the day, it's like I'm really ministering to them. That's why we're up here. Mm-hmm. You understand? Because this is for them. Because it's been at many services at my church in California that, honey, the Spirit took over and there was no word.
Yeah.
It was no word. we sang a song, the song went on, and we couldn't stop, the spirit wouldn't stop, and we was going and going and going and going. And Pastor said that was the word for the day, baby.
That's right, honey, because we went in.
Yeah, that was it. That's the word for the day. Whatever it was he needed, and people walked away satisfied. So a lot of times, just seeing other people happy and fulfilled, and seeing that face of like hope, and they can do it, and then not necessarily looking up to you, but looking at you like, wow, she's strong.
It's possible.
It's possible because she did it. That is my biggest thing. And again, I got that, from the choir. And it was some Sundays now I was ministering to myself. Forgot that the folk were looking at me.
Yes. Definitely.
But it's an awesome feeling. So I think about it off and on. And, I've even looked into, some classes and stuff. And
well, I think it should be more on than off, because I really, really do feel like that you have a lot to offer and that you can make a difference, and especially since it's something that you feel so strongly about and it keeps coming back to you, then that's when I need to start putting my actions, because we know faith without works is dead. So we need to start putting our actions to our thought and getting it done, because there's no reason for you not to. Don't get back in your way no more. Look, this is on a platform. We done said it so everybody know.
Trying to hold me accountable.
That's right.
That is so true. But yes, I do. I absolutely agree. I've looked into the credentials and what it would take, even what it would take to, join forces that, where there's a monetary benefit from it. So just seeing what their credentials were. So it's off and on. I've looked into it, off and on. Sometimes life gets in the way, home and life and current situations gets in the way. And it blinds you, because then now you're worried about today's struggle.
Yep.
And all those little dreams and things that you want to do kind of get pushed on the back burner because you in today's struggle.
Yeah. And that's real.
Yeah.
That's real. But in those moments when we are consumed by our daily life, we have to constantly remind ourselves that no matter what it looks like, we lack nothing. That's another thing I always say, we lack nothing. I don't care if I only got $5 in my pocket. I lack nothing. That's $5 more than somebody else has. That's number one. And number two, we feel what we need to feel. And like the song says, after you've done all you can, you just stand. When with those situations that you're dealing with in life, daily life, whatever it is, if you know that you've done everything that you could possibly do, sometimes you just got to be still and wait and see, take a pause. A lot of times people think pause means something bad, but a pause is not always a bad thing. Sometimes we need to rest and reset and let God and spirit move and do what they're doing so that we can get back into it and everything come together.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sometimes that pause and that quiet be crazy.
Girl, honey. And that's when you be talking about, do I have patience, Lord? Where's my patience?
Yes.
Because this should have been done yesterday.
Ooh, that quiet time, it's
hard.
But that quiet time is real hard, because your mind, that's where your prayer and your faith comes in, and say this quiet time, utilize it for the good.
Yes.
That you get that mind to wander and you all over the place. And that
I
struggle with that.
Because in that quiet time, I forget about the Bible verses and stuff. I go straight to the Ghetto Boys. My mind playing tricks on me.
For real. You get to thinking about this and thinking about that.
Yeah.
And you catch yourself, and then you're okay for a minute, and you go back into overthinking, double thinking, side thinking. It's like, let me stay focused on this quiet time. Because you're always going to, if you're truly in that quiet time, you're always going to walk away with something. But
exactly.
I've been struggling lately. When I say I have been struggling, this poor little mind of mine has just been going. And then you fixate on one thing and you say, that's it. And then about 15, 20 minutes later, you kind of, well, maybe not.
That's why you got to trust yourself more, trust your intuition more, and trust the process. Because when you trust the process within yourself and you're trusting yourself more, then that's not to say that you're still not going to be thinking about all this other stuff or whatever, but you're still going to come back to your center because you know that you know that you know, and okay, this is where I started. This is where the solution is. Ain't no use in me worried about tomorrow. Ain't no use in me worried about that. This is where the solution is. So let me focus on that. Let me concentrate on that so that I can push through. Because your mind, honey, can play some wild tricks on you, and especially during that quiet time. What's up is down and what's left is right, and it's just craziness. So that's the reason why we have to make sure that we have that strong foundation in ourselves. And, you know, like I said earlier, don't not feel it because you need to feel it. But I find myself now asking myself, okay, why am I still receiving and responding to things this way? You know, when I thought that I had got over that hump, what's bringing me back? What is it that I'm missing? And I kind of do a checklist and say, okay, what do I need to go back and relook at? What lesson do I need to replay over again so that I can get this, so that the next time I feel it and then I can go ahead and let it go and move on to the next thing. But it all starts with us trusting ourselves and our intuition. It's so important.
Yeah.
It's so important.
Yeah.
And to remember that everything that we need is within us.
Yeah.
You know, it's good for us to have our partners. It's good for us to have our families and our children and everything. But when you're in that pause, when you're in that quiet space and it's nobody but you have to be able to count on you to push you through. Because guess what? Your daughter can't climb in your head and program you and say, Mommy, think this way. You know, your husband can't say, well, babe, this is what you need to do. So that's why you have to have the faith and trust in yourself to get it done and show up for you like you show up for everybody else.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That is good. That is good. Well, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me at intuitivereadingsbymyra.com. And if you have any questions or anything, you can feel free to email me through my website or text me. My phone number is area code 336-480-1653. I do respond to text messages. I even will answer simple questions that I don't feel like need an appointment, but don't take my kindness for a weakness because, you know, you're going to only get so much of my energy for free. But yeah, but any questions or anything that you have, you guys can feel free to reach out to me.
Yes, and so true. Sweetest soul ever. And like I say, for those that I've had conversations with and those that are wondering, are nervous, because that's what I typically get from people when I tell them, like, I'm scared. It's nothing to be scared of. One thing that you do, if you really want to truly evolve in life and grow, you got to be ready to hear what you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think that, oh, I'm going to get some good stuff. You know, everything's going to be good. No, it ain't going to always be good. It ain't going to always be what you want to hear.
Nope.
But it's going to be on point. Yeah.
It's a part of it.
Yeah.
It's a part of the journey, and it's a part of you growing and your growth.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, thank you so much for taking time out, because I know it's precious because you be booked. That's on your calendar, you know, last time. But when I get off of here, I am going to book my session. I'm going to be honest, I've been avoiding it.
I know. Because we got some hot topics to cover, yes, but it's all good. You know, and like I told you, whenever you're ready, I'm here anytime. You know, and any questions or whatever, please feel free to reach out to me. I say that and I mean it. You know, some people say it, but they don't mean it, but I mean it. I have an open door.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. And thank you all for joining. If you tapped in, I think I saw a couple of people in the chat, but if you are watching, thank you for watching. Thank you, Myra, for joining. And
absolutely.
As always, you guys have a beautiful rest of your week. And not sure what next Tuesday I'm going to bring you, but I'm going to bring you something, but I'll keep you updated. So until then, you guys have a blessed rest of your week. Bye.